Hey guys, in today's video, I'm going to go through how you can save up a house deposit for your first home in under 12 months. I'm going to go through how I did it and give you some of my own personal experiences and pretty much the top 3 tips that you need to be able to do that in under 12 months. All right, so let's get into it. Before we go into the top 3 tips, I just want to make sure that you understand essentially what is going to happen, okay? When you go into owning your first home, it's a big decision. So you need to make sure that you talk to either your partner or talk to people around you first before you actually decide to get into your first home, whether it's right for you right now, because you need to think you're going to be in that house for 6 to 10 years, maybe more if it's going to be your dream home. Okay, so you need to make sure that the decision is right for you right now. Once you've made that decision, and I can tell you right now, I sat down with my then girlfriend, now fiance Olivia, and we sat down and we talked about the fact that I wanted to get into the property market and she wanted to get into her own space so that we can have our own space. So it aligned with us and the goals that we had aligned. Okay, so you need to make sure that you do that first and foremost. All right, now let's move into 3 key tips that essentially I use to build up with my partner Olivia. We use to build up our top, essentially a deposit for our home in under 12 months. So it was back in 2018 where I sat down and talked. We talked about how to get into our own home, and around about 12 months after that is when we had the deposit to actually start looking at the market. We started looking at the market in January 2019, and then it was in May 2019 that we put the money on the land. We decided to build and put the money on the land so that we can actually pretty much build our first home and get into it. So the top 3 tips you need to do is, like I said, first and foremost, decision. You need to have what I call a date night. So we once a month essentially sat down and we reviewed all of our finances. We reviewed everything. We reviewed our expenses. We reviewed our income and pretty much decided to make sure that we really hustle hard and really double down on making sure that we are saving a lot just over those 12 months. Okay, so to give you a bit of an understanding, we were saving almost, I think it was almost 50% of our combined income for that year. So we really doubled down. We decided to pretty much live out of our parents' houses, and I think I moved into Liv's parents' house at the start of 2019 to just reduce expenses. So just doing something like that, making sure that you're reducing your expenses, reviewing what your finances are, is super important. Okay, so that's step number 1, is making sure you have a date night every month, review your finances, understand what your big expenses are, try to get them down as much as you can, and then try to save as much as possible. I'll go through some videos on some saving tips later on down the track. However, we're not going to go through that today. All right, so tip number 2. All right, once you've done that and you've sort of had that date night where you've actually gone, okay, now we're really starting to get into it, we're really starting to save, what you need to do, and I highly recommend, if you have read The Barefoot Investor already, then this is pretty much straight out of his book. And essentially the date night is also out of his book. But step number 2 is really simple. You need to pay down your debts, okay? So any debts that you have, whether that be credit card debt, a car loan, anything along those lines, maybe you use Afterpay, you need to stop that and you need to double down on putting money on your debts. In fact, before you even start saving, you need to pay off your debts, okay? So I guess that's probably step number 1 rather than number 2. Okay, so it's a bit of a reverse, but you need to make sure that you double down on paying off any loans, any credit that you have. Otherwise, it's going to be really hard for a bank to give you the money because they look at all of these credits and debts, and they essentially will dock how much they will give you. So you need to make sure that you do that, okay? Once you've done that, and once you've essentially been able to pay off your debts and start saving, you need to make it easier for yourself. So this is again out of the Barefoot Investor book. So if you want to read it, do so. I highly recommend it. It definitely helped me to start with, just to get the ball rolling. Okay. But essentially I created accounts that would automate everything. It makes life so much easier. And that's essentially create an account like what the Barefoot Investor calls a splurge account, or I call it an experience account. I think that's a better word for it. An experience account is where you put money into that account every fortnight, or if you get paid weekly, you get to put it in weekly, or if you get paid monthly, you put it in monthly. And we use that money, only use that money for any experiences, any dates that we have, anything that's pretty much going to be an experience. Okay, my fiance and I, we're not big on material objects. As you can see, this shirt here is like a $15 shirt. We're not big on material things, so we don't really care that much about that sort of stuff. But we do care about spending time together and having experiences. So we prioritize that and set up a whole account around being able to go out and have dates, socialize with friends and things like that. So we would put in roughly around about 10% of, probably wasn't even that. It was probably about 5% of our income. We were really going hard at it for 12 months. And I can tell you right now, it was not easy. However, thankfully, we got through it and we were able to do it. You don't have to do it that stringently. You could bump it up to 10% of your income, fortnightly, weekly, or monthly, but that's what we did. So we would have roughly around about $150 per fortnight to spend on our own date nights or our own experiences, takeaway food, or anything like that. Okay. The next one you want to have is you want to make sure that you have a savings account, which has your big expenditures. These are things like your insurances that might pop up, car registration, car services, anything to do with big yearly or every 6 months sort of payments, rates, things like that. If you're obviously looking to buy your first house, you won't need to worry about that. But that is what this account is for. Okay, so you need 1, an experience account, 2, a big expenditure account, or what I like to say is the big account, and then 3, you need your savings account. Okay, of course you've got your transaction account that you get your income paid into, but you want to have your big savings account as well. So put simply, you want to essentially go, this is my transaction account. That'll funnel into your experience account and your big expenditure account, the big account, and then also funnel into the savings account as well, the big savings account. I would suggest basically putting in 5 to 10% into your experience account every fortnight or however much you get paid. With the big savings, 20%. With the big expenditure, 20 to 25% of your income. And then your savings, we put in 50% to really double down and work hard for a whole year. But you don't have to go that hard if you don't want to. You could even go harder if you feel like you can do it. But it is really entirely up to you and your circumstances. So those are the 3 steps. I'll quickly review them again. Number 1, let's rewind, because we're going to make debts number 1. Pay off all your debts. Okay, make sure that you have no car loans. Make sure that you have nothing. We had at the start of 2018 2 car loans, and we paid it off by the end of 2019. Not to mention, we also paid it off and also saved our deposit in 2018, which was extremely lucky for us, and fortunate that we were working so hard and really doubling down and hustling with that. What you need to also understand is once you've done number 1, number 2 is you need to determine essentially your date nights and make sure that you're ready to go with that, reviewing your finances, making sure that everything is tracking, okay? So for an example, if you want to get a deposit for your house, you want to aim for 20% of your house value. So if you're looking for a $500,000 house, you want to look at having at least a grand total of $100,000, including first homeowner grants and things like that too. So for us, we actually saved $70,000 within the year, which is really, really cool. Then once you've got that, number 3 is getting all of your accounts set up and automated so that you're just pretty much your income is just going into your experience, your big expenses account, the big account, and your big savings account as well. All right, guys. So if you do that, work hard for 12 months, or if you want to make it 18 months, it's up to you. You don't have to do what I did, but this is what my fiance and I did to buy our first home. Then do this, do those top 3 things. If you can do that, you will be on your way to getting your first house. All right, guys, we'll leave it there. So make sure you like the video, as we want to try and spread the word, spread this video around YouTube as quickly as possible. And by liking it, the YouTube algorithm helps to spread this video more quickly. Okay, so in that way we can give more value to more people and give them the opportunity to learn more about financial independence and learn more about even trying to retire a little bit earlier. Make sure you subscribe as well. And once you've subscribed, hit that little bell button so you get notified every time I put out a new video in the future. Okay, guys, awesome work. I'll see you soon.